Most people will live their entire lives as the same version of themselves they were at 22. The same fears, the same habits, the same ceiling. They will grow older, yes. They will collect more years, more memories, more things, but they will not grow. And there is a difference, a profound and painful difference between simply aging and actually evolving. Think about the people around you. Think about the person you were 5 years ago. How much has truly changed? Not on the surface, not the job title or the address or the haircut, but inside, where it actually matters. How much of your thinking has been rebuilt? How much of your discipline has been forged? How much of your fear has been faced and walked through? For most people, the honest answer is very little. Not because they are weak, not because they lack potential, but because they are waiting for the right moment, waiting for things to settle down, waiting until they feel ready. And so they wait, and they wait, and the years pass, and the version of themselves that was possible quietly disappears. Here is what no one tells you. The right moment is never coming. It does not exist. It was never scheduled. The idea of the perfect time to begin your transformation is one of the most dangerous illusions your mind will ever offer you. Because your mind is not always on your side. Parts of it are deeply committed to keeping you exactly where you are. Comfortable, familiar, safe. And safety, while necessary in some areas of life, is the enemy of growth. Every day that passes while you wait for readiness is a day your potential sits unused, collecting dust, growing heavier with regret. There is a version of you that exists beyond where you currently are. A version that has been forged through discipline and tested by difficulty. A version that has learned to control its impulses, to direct its focus, to carry its pain without being consumed by it. A version that no longer needs external validation to move forward. A version that operates not from emotion or ego or fear, but from quiet, deliberate intention. This version is real. It is not fantasy. It is not arrogance. It is your highest potential, already waiting inside you, already formed in possibility, asking only one thing of you: the willingness to go through the process required to reach it. But here is where most people stop. They love the idea of transformation. They are drawn to the image of who they could become. They watch it. They dream about it. They feel inspired for a moment. And then they return to the same patterns, the same scrolling, the same conversations, the same avoidance. Because the idea of transformation is beautiful, but the actual process of transformation is not. It is uncomfortable in ways that are difficult to describe unless you have lived them. It is the moment you want to quit and you don't. It is the silence you sit in when you choose discipline over distraction for the 100th time in a row. It is the identity you have to grieve when you realize you can no longer be who you were. Because who you were is no longer compatible with who you are choosing to become. Transformation requires you to let go, and letting go is one of the hardest things a human being can do. You will have to let go of old habits that once felt like comfort. You will have to let go of old beliefs that once felt like protection. You will have to let go of the version of yourself that people around you have grown familiar with, the version that fits neatly into the expectations of your environment. Some of you will even have to let go of certain relationships, certain rooms, certain conversations that are quietly pulling you back toward a version of yourself you have already decided to leave behind. This is not cruelty. This is not arrogance. This is the price of growth, and it is not cheap. Anyone who tells you transformation is painless is selling you something that does not exist. The process begins with the body, not because the body is everything, but because the body is the foundation. When you train your body with consistency and intention, something deeper than muscle is built. You are teaching your mind a language it responds to powerfully, the language of follow through. Every morning you rise before you want to. Every session you complete when stopping was an option. Every meal you prepare with discipline. When the easier choice was right in front of you, you are sending a message to the deepest part of your psychology. You are saying, I am the kind of person who does what I said I would do. And over time, that message accumulates into identity, into character, into the quiet, unshakable confidence that does not need an audience. Then comes the mind, and training the mind is a longer, stranger, more subtle war than training the body. It requires you to sit with yourself. Truly, sit with yourself. Not with your phone, not with noise, with the full weight of your own thoughts, your own patterns, your own contradictions. It requires you to study how you think, to notice where your thinking serves you and where it keeps you small. It requires reading, reflection, difficult conversations with yourself conducted in honesty rather than comfort. It requires the willingness to be wrong, to be corrected, to revise what you believe when evidence and experience demand it. An untrained mind will wander into fear and distraction and self-pity. A trained mind will acknowledge those tendencies and redirect, quietly, without drama, over and over again, for as long as necessary. And then there is the discipline of emotion. This is perhaps the most underestimated battlefield of all, because in a culture that confuses emotional expression with emotional strength, very few people are taught the difference between feeling an emotion and being controlled by one. Your emotions are information. They are not instructions. You are allowed to feel anger, to feel grief, to feel fear, to feel longing. But whether you act from those feelings, whether you allow them to make your decisions, whether you give them the wheel and step back, that is a choice. And it is a choice that separates those who grow from those who simply react. Emotional self-regulation is not coldness. It is not suppression. It is the quiet skill of experiencing the full force of what you feel while remaining the author of what you do next. Alongside all of this, you must build skills, real skills, developed over time through repetition and failure and refinement. Whatever your domain, whatever your path, there is no substitute for the hours. There is no shortcut to competence. The world is becoming increasingly saturated with people who perform the appearance of expertise while quietly avoiding the actual labor of developing it. But real mastery, the kind that holds under pressure, the kind that compounds over years, the kind that earns respect not from performance but from result, that only comes from doing the work when no one is watching, from returning to the practice when you feel like you've plateaued, from staying patient enough to let the progress reveal itself on its own timeline. Now let us be direct about something important. The current version of you and the highest version of you want very different things. The current version seeks comfort. It seeks the path of least resistance. It seeks validation from others, external signals that you are enough, that you are doing fine, that you are on the right track. The current version avoids the mirror when the mirror tells a difficult truth. It postpones the hard conversation. It reaches for the distraction when the silence becomes too honest. It chooses the short-term relief over the long-term gain nearly every time, because the short-term relief is real and the long-term gain still feels abstract. The highest version of you seeks something different entirely. It seeks growth over comfort. It seeks mastery over approval. It welcomes the mirror, even on difficult days, because it understands that clarity, however uncomfortable, is always more useful than illusion. The highest version of you is not louder, or more aggressive, or more ruthless. It is simply more intentional, more patient, more honest, more willing to delay the gratification that the lesser version of you would have consumed immediately. Consistency is the single most unsexy and undervalued concept in self-improvement. Everyone wants the dramatic transformation, the before and after, the moment of breakthrough. But the breakthrough is almost never a moment. It is a consequence. It is what happens when someone shows up imperfectly, repeatedly, without fanfare, for long enough that the accumulation of their effort reaches a threshold that cannot be ignored. The person who reads for 30 minutes every day for 3 years becomes someone different from who they were, not because of any single session, but because of all of them. Layered, compounded, stacked. The same is true for the person who trains with consistency, who builds their emotional discipline with patience, who refines their craft without needing applause. These people are not lucky. They are not gifted in ways unavailable to you. They simply decided, somewhere along the way, to stop treating consistency as optional. And here is something you must understand about delayed gratification, because it is a concept that sounds simple but demands a form of psychological courage that is genuinely rare. To delay gratification is to act in service of a version of yourself that does not yet exist. It is to resist what feels good now, because you have chosen to respect something that will feel better later. It requires a relationship with your future self that most people have never truly developed. Most people treat their future self as a stranger, someone they vaguely care about but are not particularly loyal to. And so they make choices that betray that future self, that burden them, that narrow their options, that compound in the wrong direction. To unlock your highest version, you must develop loyalty to who you are becoming. You must make decisions not just for the person you are today, but for the person you are committed to being in a year, in 5 years, in a decade. No one is coming to do this for you. Let that land. Not as cruelty, not as discouragement, but as one of the most liberating truths available to you. Because if no one is coming to do this for you, then no one can stop you either. The work is yours. The decision is yours. The responsibility is yours. And so is the result. Every time someone tells you it is too late, that you missed your window, that you are too far behind, that the gap between where you are and where you could be is too large to close, you are being offered an excuse. And you can take it. Many people do. But you are also being offered the clearest possible reminder that the only permission you have ever needed is the one you give yourself. The work begins now. Not tomorrow. Not when things are better. Not when you feel ready. Now. In this moment. With whatever you have. With however far you have already come. Because the final form is not a destination you arrive at. It is a direction you commit to. And once you commit, truly commit, not just in feeling but in action, not just today but consistently, you will begin to understand something that cannot be explained, only experienced. You will begin to feel the weight of who you are becoming. And it will feel, for the first time in a long time, like exactly who you were always supposed to be. Comment. Final form activated.